The whole world is underselling us. You know it as well as I do, right? I can't think of anything better. The fact that they aren't talking about our team with the depth that we have at every position, I've been saying it to every that I've spoken to in the media, right? In terms of our goalies, our back end close defensemen, our long stick middies, our short stick middies, our face-off guy, our midfields, and our attack. We got the best players at each respective spot.
Get the run.
Saying what we did. We set the tone. They got to fall in our role. You guys understand that? And that comes down to you handling your role and embracing it regardless of what it is. We don't give a who plays. This is about winning, and that's it. On three. 1, 2, 3, ha!
Get the run. Get the run.
All right, and we're back. I'm just going to end it before it glitches out and it crashes out on me and it pisses me off. We're back. We're back for a regular episode after a couple of weeks of kind of scheduling on my part, your part. I'll blame you mostly for Thursday, but
that's fine.
That's besides the point. We're obviously going to talk Notre Dame, but first I want to blow through the UVA, and for the UVA people, go somewhere else and listen to a recap somewhere else where they talk about it for 25 minutes, because this isn't going to be that episode. Because as I told you, Matt, I had 75 things on my brain after I watched it.
Yep.
And then yesterday happened, and I literally threw all my notes out for UVA.
I barely remember what I had for dinner last night, let alone a game a week and a half ago. So
yeah. So let's do the UVA stuff first, though, because you and I talked about it. I jotted down some notes.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I've got like 3 or 4 things.
I was going to say, my first note is down 5-1. Last year's team would have folded. That's my note. And it goes into a UVA. It goes into the ND part, which we'll kind of talk about from that side as well. But there's a different grit to this team that we haven't seen, that we didn't see last year. I'll just say it that way. That we're seeing this year.
Yeah, and I think Gary talked about it in the post game from yesterday. Like, it's just showing they're a year older, right? Like, they're now upperclassmen. They've been through this stuff. They're now figuring out, okay, how do we punch back when we're socked in the mouth, right? Like, they don't just start arguing with each other or like folding, like whatever the young kids do that don't have that maturity level yet. Like, they're like, all right, you know what? They got one. We're getting the next one. And like, I don't know if you probably noticed in like all of the media interviews, whether it's Gary pre-week interviews, any post-game stuff, any of the stuff on Q Sports Talk, this team, their whole mentality now is win the next one, whatever the next thing is, whether it's the next day or the next play or whatever. Like, they're just so focused on whatever's next. Right. Which I think is contributing a lot to their success right now and how they're playing too. Like, I noticed that this whole past week on any of the interviews, whether it was the coach or the players, they're like, let's beat Thursday. Thursday's a tough matchup. Let's beat Thursday. All right, now let's go and beat Friday. Like, they're just one thing at a time. They're not worrying about anything else on the outside. Joey said that also in the post game yesterday too. Like, it doesn't matter what anybody else is saying. We're just worrying about our business, right? Like, so it's proving to work. And I think also, like, some of the adjustments the coaching staff has made about, like, we're not going to dilly-dally at halftime. We're going to say our things. We're not going to get undressed. We're not going to do any of that stuff. And we're going to just come take care of our business. So
I was going to say, it reminds me kind of the Patriots, if I can compare it to football, right? Like, do your job. And that's the mentality that we see from Joey now. After every post game, it's this win is great, but I'm on to the next week. Yeah. I don't care about, we can celebrate Instagram user 1234, send me a message, whatever, but
I have to pause myself. You keep talking for a minute. I got to deal with issue with the cat. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah, you're good. So that was my biggest thing is that, like, the Bill Belichick stuff. It kind of reminds me of that. The other thing, and I tried to tell people this going into the week, is to throw out the record, right? Like if Virginia came in undefeated, I'd say the same thing to people. Throw out the records. It's the ACC start. We finally get the real Syracuse team. And I'm not going to lie, even with all that stuff that I said about the killer instinct, all that fun stuff, when they went down 5-1, I was a little scared. So that's, I mean, I had that nerve from last year is how I'll say it. But a couple of the other important stats to me were the shots. Obviously, Syracuse had 52, Virginia had 50. Syracuse had 52, Virginia had 43. Johnny Mullen struggled, which is for the first time. Now he's back. Now I don't have to monologue. Yep. Hallelujah. That was the worst 2 minutes
of your life.
Yeah. No, what I was saying, Matt, is this was the first time we saw Johnny struggle from the face-off. That was one of the other big notes that I had. And
that was one of my points. But the fact that we worked through that and still won, like that was an impressive thing to me, right? Like, so I missed what else you said, but yeah, the slow start, we bounced back.
That's pretty much what I was talking about. So I was saying, even at 5-1, given how my experience last year went as a fan, I was shaky. I'm not gonna lie. I go, they're either gonna come back or Virginia is gonna blow them out, and I'm gonna have to hear about it all week from all the Syracuse fans. Virginia this, Virginia that.
Yeah.
Like, and I was also saying throw the records out because it's as bad as Virginia has been all year. Look at the final score. Like, I hate to tell people this, Virginia is better than the record.
Yep. And they just play who'd they play this weekend? They played them close too. Was it Duke?
Yeah.
No, North Carolina?
It was Carolina. I think it was Carolina.
Did they play them close or did they destroy them? I can't remember. Oh no, they beat them real bad. Never mind. Okay.
It's not going to be technical issues. It's going to be stat issues. That's all I'm going to say.
I think the other thing too, like, so Joey got held to just an assist.
Yep.
But like, the team schemed around that game plan because they knew that they were going to lock off Joey, right? So then, and I saw even in some of the stuff through post the Virginia game of like, Joey's IQ is so good that like, all right, he may have been shut off, but then he moved himself to places on the field that made it harder for his defender to then be able to slide and be the slider, the two guy, like, so he was doing things to help the team. He wasn't necessarily getting the points, and people will criticize, oh, he was shut down, whatever. But like, it doesn't matter how many points he gets if the team wins, right? Like, and that's what's important, right?
We're gonna get to the he was shut down because we're gonna talk about that more post Notre Dame, obviously. I was gonna say the one thing to note. Obviously, Joey has one, but Anderson has 2 goals, and we're starting to see the emergence of him.
Yep.
And now the people are going to start asking, why wasn't he playing? The problem with this is it's the reverse Trey Deer effect. I love Trey Deer, but people were screaming for Anderson to play.
I've literally from preseason thought he'd be the third attackman.
But now you're seeing the flip side with Deer. I mean, you and I were talking about it kind of before. The people, the message boards, to be fair, it's the message boards. It's not anybody official. I'll just say it that way to be fair. But the message boards are talking about where's Trey Deer. We want Deer more involved. Why did he get taken out of the lineup? I had a phone call with a friend of mine, and we can kind of transition this into Notre Dame because I'm good with my notes. I'm sure you're probably right there.
I have 3 other points. McCool has another amazing game. 17 saves. And then it was one of our cleanest games. We had less than 10 turnovers, only had 8 turnovers. And then our man up went 0 for 2. So those are my other 3 notes that I meant. But
so I'll transition it this way because, like I said, I can throw all these notes out. I don't there's 3 notes. I blew through them in 2 seconds. But my buddy called me, what was it, 30 minutes ago?
Yeah.
And he went yesterday, and he goes, the Anderson kid's good. Now, he pays attention pretty good. He goes, let me ask you this. Why hasn't he played all year? That was the question that he asked me.
Yeah.
And that's a casual fan. That's not even a deep dive person. I'll be fair to him, and he'll text me and call me after this, but he's a casual.
Yeah. Well, I was having a conversation earlier today with a couple buddies in our group text, and like he, whether it was the Utah game or some other time where he got some run earlier in the season, like he did show a little bit of freshman jitters, right?
Yep.
Like made some mistakes, kind of work through some of that stuff, but he got a half a game at Utah, so he got some more time under his belt. Was running some other stuff, and then like he gets a chance to like really play at Virginia, and kind of shows that okay, he can be a dodging threat to a degree, and he's not like he isn't forcing it either. Like if it's not there, he's getting rid of it. But like that first goal he scored on Saturday. I even texted Brian and Alex. I was like, that's why they call him Bear.
Yeah.
Like that's a man goal right there. Like, so
I was going to say that's one of my notes that I had, so we can kind of blow. I'm sure we'll go back. I'm sure you and I have most of the same stuff from this.
Yeah.
The first thing is obviously going down 3-0. Kind of felt like the UVA game, but you're like, but after last week, I had a little more comfort. I was like, okay, maybe the sky isn't falling yet.
I will admit that I was a little more worried only because it was Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And even it was funny. I was telling you before we started that like I went through and watched the game on the broadcast after the fact, because when you're at the Dome, like the atmosphere is the best thing ever, but like you're not hearing the commentary or like getting more details about what's maybe happening or why a call happened or like that kind of stuff. So I wanted to, especially some of the calls where I was like, oh, I don't know, like why did that happen or not happen or whatever. So I watched them, and like it was even interesting to see, because the whole narrative was like, all right, they've won 7 in a row against us. Some really bad, like they've destroyed us pretty bad and just had the foot on the gas the whole time, right? Like, so then like that was the whole commentary going at the start of the game, and then like they scored their first 3 goals, and Kark and Anish were like, "Oh, is this the same of what we've seen?" And then the game completely flipped the script, and then like their whole tone of how they were explaining things changed too. So it was just interesting to see that, and that was like those first 3 goals they scored. I looked at my wife, because my wife came. My son and I try to drag her to 1 game a year.
Yeah.
He doesn't really like going to games.
That's the one game. This is the one game that you drag her to where it starts like that.
Yeah, and she goes, "Oh, I might need to not come to games anymore if I'm a bad luck charm," because she went to the Maryland game last year.
Oh boy, yeah.
But yeah, no, I was like, oh boy, and then slowly clawed our way back. So
yeah, I was gonna say that's the Anderson goal was a momentum switch for me.
Yeah,
it's right or wrong when I say this, it's something we haven't seen from the third attackman.
Yep.
And we finally saw it from Anderson.
Yep. Well, it forces the teams to keep all 3 poles down low.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, because I was going through with Derek DeJoe, and I was like, who do you pull? Like, who do you short? And the answer up until this week, realistically, was you pull the third, you short the third attackman.
Yeah. Well, and like that's part of why they made the switch away from Deere, and it's not a knock on him. He's a great player. It's just his style of play. He's the inside finisher, right?
Yep.
And that's an easy short stick matchup.
Yep.
Right? Like, because then you have a lot of help right there in the middle. So it was a smart move on Gary's part. Initially, when he did it at the UVA game, I was like, why the hell is he pulling Deere? Like, what happened? Did Deere break a rule? Did like he just not have a good week of practice? Whatever. And then once he explained it posting, I was like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Right.
So it was. I think it was a good move by the coaching staff, and it's funny because we were talking about this beforehand, and in my group chats, we've been talking about like, all right, And actually, let's talk about that after, because let's finish this game first. We'll talk about it after. You know where I was going. Let's talk about it after.
I know where you're going, because we're gonna go there after.
Yeah.
Another note is obviously the attendance. I have to touch on it because
yep.
I have to give. You know what? I'll do my People can see that. You can
round of applause.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I hate to say it this way, Matt, and it's gonna sound horrible. I thought there was gonna be more. That's how I'll say it. And I'm not criticizing the fans, because from the broadcast, from everything that I saw, from all the videos, everybody was loud. Everybody was up.
There was a lot of people there,
and the upper decks were filled.
Yeah, a good chunk of the upper decks. Like, people were even going around like the sides a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I was hoping for 15K. That's how I'll say it.
Yeah.
Now, for Carolina, looking ahead, I want more than 11K.
Depends how these next two games go.
Yeah, I know, but I want more than 11K there if the games go the way that we want them. That's how I'll say it. That's how I'll phrase it.
Yep.
I don't know if you want to touch on the fans at all, because you were actually there. I was not.
It was great.
My perspective.
It was awesome. It was tight, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was funny. One of my buddies from work came to the game, and I was like, "Oh, you gonna come down and sit with us?" He's like, "No," and I go, "Oh, you up in the third tier?" Because he said he said at work, "Oh, I'm probably gonna go sit up in the third tier if they open it." And I look, and he's like literally the farthest over, the farthest up, just away from everybody. It was so funny, because he's like, I just want to go by myself and enjoy the game. I was like, I respect that.
That's good though. Look. One of the other notes I had was the Johnny Mullen bounce back.
Yep. And Will Lynch is a great face-off guy too.
Yeah.
And he dominated them.
Right.
It was just, and that was part of why Notre Dame struggled for so long, is they couldn't get the ball.
Yeah.
And then when they did, our defense was just clamps. They just couldn't do anything. So they went about 40 minutes without a goal.
Yep.
Which is insane. And there were a couple that we got bailed out by a call, which was, they end up being correct calls. But the goal mouth finally struck in our advantage. Which
it didn't look like it live, is all I'm going to say. I know somebody's going to jump down my throat, but until I saw the replay after I watched it.
Yeah, when his elbow landed in. Yeah. Because his hand doesn't, it's his elbow that lands in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Need my phone charger. Hold on. I realize my phone's going to die.
You're going to make me do this again?
I'm still here.
Oh, you're good. No, I think one of the other storylines, and you kind of touched on it, is Coach O. He is proving to be a great hire.
Yep.
Obviously, we knew this before, right? Because the Manhattan stuff happens. Then he comes here. We knew he was going to be a good hire. I didn't think it would happen this quick. That's how I'll say it.
Yeah. As we're talking about him, congrats to Coach O on getting the Cannons DC job for the summer. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which is, that's only going to help them with recruiting purposes too. Our defensive coordinator also coaches in the PLL. You want to know how the PLL works?
And he's got bragging rights over Notre Dame players, but that's besides the point. Because I think you and I kind of listened to the same interview. I think on the Q Sports Talk interview, he was talking about how he was texting with the Notre Dame players this week leading up to the game. So
older Kavanaugh's on that team. Matt.
We'll stick on the defense, and then I want to kind of touch on the offense, because there's a lot more notes on the offense from this game for me. Once again, Jimmy McCool is proving me wrong. That's how I'll say it. He
have 10 saves, right? I think
so. Now you're gonna make me.
10 saves.
Yeah.
So it was 50-something%, 53, 50.
Once again, he plays on his head for most of the game.
And some of his saves, he didn't have a ton of saves, right? He only had 10 saves, but some of them were great timed saves in terms of when he saved them to stop any momentum, or it was an up and down play, and the fact that he saved it was just awesome. Couple doorsteps, yeah.
Well, it was the 2 men down, because I was listening. I was listening to Tim Leonard I'm gonna butcher the other name. Federally radio broadcast. Yeah. And I tuned in at that perfect time because work was a drag. That's all I'm going to talk about work for. And I tuned in right when it happened. I think it was right around there. And Federally goes, if they get past this without giving up a goal, Syracuse will win, and Notre Dame can't come back.
Yeah.
And every time he gets you, I hate his woos. I hate him. I don't care. I hate all you people that love him, but I wanted to put it as I almost put it as a sound clip, Matt, to be perfectly honest, because I was like, that he did it every time Jimmy made a save.
Oh God.
And it was just like it was woo, because it was every time they needed a save, Jimmy stepped up in that time period. Not that he did it the rest of the game, because I was ready to throw all my notes away when I sent you the message. We have a lot to talk about, because I was like, when it was that point, it ended up being the same amount, right? Like, I think that's the point. Like, I was like, I have no criticisms, nothing.
Yep.
There's nothing. I want to criticize somebody, I really do, but I can't criticize anybody.
Grace played a great game.
Yeah.
He was the perfect guy to cover Jake Taylor.
Yep.
Because he's a Canadian guy. He's physical.
Yep.
He didn't let Taylor get any space on the inside. Like, he shut him down. Like, Taylor had his goal and assist within the last 3 minutes of the game when it was like junk time stuff. Like, so, and he clearly was getting to Taylor, because then he had that cheap penalty that he got, which was like awesome. I love to see that. A clear mental lapse frustration penalty is from the other team is such a good thing, because all right, we're living rent free up here right now.
Right.
So he had a great, because like on that 2-man down, he's the one who had that pick off on the one pass to the middle that shut it down after the McCool save. So it was like he had a great game. Dwan had a little bit of a rough game.
Yeah.
He, like, defensively wise, he was fine, but just he had some bad turnovers in the clears, and that one that almost was the goal from the goal mouth.
Yep.
But like on that, him and Figueres did a great job on McLean and Kavanaugh. So
I was gonna say the Kavanaugh stuff. So I listened to the post game, and like I said, I watched it, rewatched it, because I kind of had told myself Matt and I are going to focus on this because this is what everybody wants to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about UVA anymore. Nobody cares. Like we said, I forgot where I was. I know where I was. My wife's going to listen and yell at me when she hears this. I know exactly where I was during the UVA game, but the Gary's post game said it all, because I think he worded it as, we knew Kavanaugh would get his points. We just didn't want the Jake Taylors, the Faisons. We can go down the list.
I don't think Jordan Faison had a point.
He had 0 points. I have it right actually in front of me. So like,
it was funny because I forgot he was on the team until I watched the broadcast. Because like his name wasn't called.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh yeah, that's right. He's on the team.
I was going to say it was called a couple of times during the radio broadcast, but I know exactly what you're saying. Like, they were like, okay, he turned the ball over. Okay, he doesn't look like himself. The Syracuse defense is all over them. The clears, like you said, that was another big note.
Yeah. I forget what our number was. We missed 9, I think. I think we were 19 out of 28 or something like that. Yeah.
You are
correct.
Bad.
That's bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and they came in, I think, I'm going to butcher this. I think they came in as the second in the nation clearing percentage. Syracuse did. So that number, Kyle Federally put it perfect. He goes, that number is going to drop a little bit. As the passes out of bounds, as the drop stuff.
Yeah.
Like, they can get away with that, though, right? Because this is one of those games where you got away with it, and I hate to say it that way. There's my criticism, Matt. There it is. There's my one, like the clears. But that was it. Like, we touched on Johnny, but the big thing I want to say, and Johnny touched on it in the post-game presser, was the play to save the ball from going out of bounds. Said everything about that game from the Syracuse side.
Yep. When even like he saved it, we had a shot, it goes off the post, and then he fights the guy and gets the ground ball back. Like, it was awesome.
I was gonna say there's not really much to say about Johnny because he had a good game. I hate to say it like a criticism of him. There wasn't a lot of Johnny shots, so that's that.
Well, and he's like, we talked. I forget what game it was. Maybe was it the Harvard game where he had the bad turnovers? Like, he's now just getting it to whoever's he's got to get it to. He's not forcing it into a fast break. Like, let's get our guys on. Let's whatever. And so it's he's playing smarter, which is good. He's just doing his job, right? Yeah. He's going in, doing his job, and then getting off. Like,
and like we said before, this is gonna sound. I'm not criticizing him for this. I'm okay with the shots as long as there's a backup. The problem with a lot of his shots that he took in the beginning of the year was there was no backup.
Yeah.
So every time turnover. And you saw it kind of this week. There was another X guy again. So now we're set up. So now if he takes it, Joey's back there. Bear's back there.
Well, and it seemed like most of the game Peyton was running at X and Joey was on the right wing. And Joey even talked about in the post game, like, I was able to play more above the goal this game because we had Peyton at X. Yeah. Like, and so on the fast breaks, Joey's going to naturally want to shade up to be an outlet for Johnny if he doesn't have the shot. So then that's why the couple times we didn't have backup, because he was the X guy, right? So like now Peyton's staying back there, so then Joey can be up and be that outlet for another option for a shot. So it's Which, speaking of Joey, he had a great game.
I was just gonna say perfect transition because we can. I'm good with the defense as long as you're good.
And like it's funny because there's still some narrative like, okay, he didn't really beat Sean Light a lot one-on-one. Like, but like, that's like, what the hell's his name from TLN? Kevin.
I have
Boylard,
no idea where you're going with this.
Boylard. He posted about like how good Joey's IQ was and how he would take advantage of off-ball situations to get open to score. Right. Like, and there were even a couple times where Joey did well dodging against him. He just didn't parry the shot. So he's showing growth, which is good. And he's also like, all right, I'm not going to try to bull into my guy 10 times a game, have 4 turnovers and 6 missed shots. Like, I'm going to get open. I'm going to get my shots where I know I'm going to be successful and just do it that way and not force it.
I'm looking up the message.
I mean, and there were, I think, at least 2, maybe 3 shots where their goalie, and I forget the kid's name,
Ricciardelli.
Yeah. He made some ridiculous saves where Joey had a couple on the doorstep or whatever else it was. Like, so this game could have gotten really out of hand if their goalie had a bad game.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got a message from somebody during the game, and I'm not going to, I won't say their name. It's not somebody that we've had on before. It's somebody that I'm working on. And the message was, wait till you see how they move Spalina around. It was a brilliant game plan. And then they talked about keeping him underneath dodges, popping him out. He's moving around a ton. And then he's getting away from White, which is kind of goes back to what you were just talking about. It's not that he's beating him one-on-one, right? The way that they were doing it offensively worked out great because they were able to pick and pop. They were able to pick Joey a couple times. Let him clear through. Now Sean Light has to switch because you're not staying with Michael Leo or you're not staying with Roa or you're not.
Well, if you're getting away from your defender and getting open, you're still beating your defender.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't dodge on him, but like, you are taking advantage of him not paying attention, getting open and scoring. Like, or him having to slide to somebody else and then taking advantage of it and scoring.
Yeah, I think the beating way I said it is a bad way to say it. Like, he's still beating him. Like, I think we need to give Joey the respect. We're going to talk about that because I want to touch on all that. I saw on Twitter. You know where I'm kind of going with that.
Yeah.
After all of that, because we're going to talk the Joey haters, because that's why I titled this one. The haters are awfully quiet, but I want to finish on the Notre Dame stuff.
I'm hearing crickets.
I don't hear anybody.
I'm hearing crickets.
I'm just gonna say I didn't get any messages. That's all I'm gonna say. They didn't. We can touch on that right now because we can get that out of the way, because like the narrative going into this game was Joey doesn't do it against good competition. I'm not even saying it was you. I'm not saying it was outside Syracuse fans and some Syracuse fans. So I have to call some of them. Yeah. We talked about it before. We're not going to give that person airtime. I'll just say it that way. You know exactly what I'm talking about with that. I don't like. What else does he have to do? I think that's my question for everybody else. Like,
it's funny too, because like that's what Brian is always arguing on Stick Talk and some other folks. That guy I mentioned from TLN, he's a big Joey advocate, and it's like the target is always moving for him, right? Like if it happens to any other guy, it's like, all right, whatever. Like no one says anything, but it's because he's the most prolific number on the most prolific program. So he's getting all the attention. And the thing that's great about him is that he does not give a flying F what people think. He's just going to go play his game, do his thing. Because he knows I'm going to work hard. I'm going to play hard. I'm going to do well.
Yeah.
I'm going to do whatever I can to help my team win. If that means I get 1 point, if that means I get 11 points, I don't care. I'm going to do whatever helps the team win.
Right. It's I was going to say it's like a callback to the Virginia stuff we were talking about, right? Like he doesn't have any points and he's still talking in the post game about how I did my job. Sammy English steps up. The list of people step up. Like,
because you know what he'd rather have? He'd rather have 2 rings this year or next year than have the scoring record at Syracuse.
Mark that down. Matt said that, not me, for the 2 rings part. I did not say that. I did not send that text to anybody. I did not say anything like that. No, I know I do know what you're saying though. Like, and I also wrote down something quick. I go, if Joey was number 9, he wouldn't hear half of this crap, which is the dumbest part about it.
If he was number 1 at Maryland, he wouldn't be getting the same shit.
Yeah,
it's everybody. It's all this built up, pent up rage from 1983 to 2009 of everybody hating Syracuse because
is that a reference? Is that a reference?
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. But all those years of Syracuse just dominating everybody for so long, it makes everybody so freaking butthurt that like Syracuse just lives in everybody's head rent free.
Yeah, it's sad though, right? Because like we should be not just making this. We should be celebrating that Joey has 5 points against Sean Light, and yet people are still talking about how obviously half of it was a joke because you and I saw it. Obviously, Brian did it. The when is Joey going to do this against good teams with the highlights? But like people still talk about it, and there are people. I'll just phrase it. We won't give this person airtime, but I'll just say it this way. There are people who don't want Joey in the starting lineup right now. That's the way that I'll phrase it. And
dumbest thing ever.
We can leave it there because I'll launch into a whole hour conversation about that person. And we already discussed it enough, to be honest. We already gave that person too much airtime. And if they're listening, send me a message because I want to have this conversation with you, whoever you are. I'll just say it that way.
Someone's drugs hit real bad that last night. Anyway, so one thing that I did notice, and this can segue into our conversation that we were going to have about Finn. Is Roa seemed really off, and not in a like his shooting was better and that kind of whatever. He has a certain skill set, right? Dodge from up top on the big sweeping dodges and stick him in the corners from up top. His shots were a little off yesterday, whatever. But like there were several times I noticed, and particularly at the end of the first half where we had the ball with like the last 30 seconds left. And he had the ball for 25 of that last 30 seconds where he seemed lost. Like had no clue what he was doing, didn't know where to go. And there were even several times in the offensive sets where I noticed people were like kind of telling him where to go. And like he just seemed out of it. And I don't know if something else is going on or just had a bad day or whatever, or not feeling well. Like I know he's taken a few hits, maybe his head's a little foggy. I don't know. But like he just seemed off. It was weird. Like as I specifically noticed it a couple times where it was just like, and even like some of his dodges, he almost kind of like ran into Hilton, kind of like flipped it to him, like not knowing the physical space of things and some of that kind of stuff. He just, like I said, just seemed off.
I was gonna say, and on a day when most of the midfield produced, he had 1 assist, and I'm not downplaying that 1 assist. Like that's great. I'm not even saying that in a bad way, but like, look at the production. Sammy English gets 2. Leo gets 2.
Huddle gets 2.
Wyatt Huddle gets 2, which we've talked about Huddle at length. I love Huddle, and he just continues to prove me wrong. I'll just put my hands up for that too. Like he continues to prove me wrong.
I like the comparison they gave of him on the broadcast.
Great comparison, by the way. I know exactly where you're going with that.
The Joey Sankey.
Except Sankey wasn't a defensive mini, so give Wyatt Huddle his respect for that. Sorry, that's my little shot at Sankey. And
but so one of the conversations we started to have before we started was when Finn comes back, where do we put Finn, right? Like because Peyton's proving that having him down low is good. And my first instinct is, okay, put Roa on the second line. And then put Finn in that spot and have him with or like even like run 4 guys on your first line and just if someone's tired, like if Sam's tired, give him a break. And let Finn run in that spot. And then that gives Sammy some air so that when he needs to go back and forth a couple times, he can. Right? Like
a quick segue. The breaking news with Finn is that there's no news as far as from what I've heard
things all over the place. He's going to be back next week. He's not going to be back till the playoffs.
I heard that, and I won't name sources, obviously. For this one, I won't name the sources. I'll just say it that way. I'm not going to burn those, but I have heard the news that I heard was North Carolina. No, that's, and once again, this isn't from anybody official. I just want to be very clear with this.
There's a rumor you're hearing.
Yeah. Like that's, I haven't heard it from Finn himself. Finn hasn't answered my text messages about when he's coming back. So Finn, when you listen to this,
I miss you.
But in all seriousness, let's because at the beginning
the thing too is like, I feel confident that like Gary and company aren't going to bring him back until he's ready to, because like they don't want to re-aggravate, and if that means he misses the rest, then he misses the rest. Like,
but ideally, I want him back. The rust thing is the only thing that worries me with somebody like him, and that's the only reason why I said I want him back in the Carolina game, personally, because then, or even the ACC, because if you get him back in the ACCs, then you kind of get him the run. If he comes back, let's once again be fair. There is nothing official that's been said by the university, by Gary. If it has been, somebody please send me that post if there's something been officially said, because I haven't seen it.
It seems like they're keeping it close to the chest, probably so that when he is ready to come back, they can kind of catch a team off guard. I'm hoping that's what I would assume,
So what I was going to say, and you kind of talked about it with Anderson, I think if you're at the beginning of the year and this happens, right, you're like, okay, we get through to Virginia with Anderson and Deere, and then Finn goes down low. With Anderson's production, I think you're spot on. I think he has to be on the first line. I think Finn has to be on the first line.
Well, just what he adds to that unit. It's a different skill set from Finn, right? Like, he's not going to bully and bulldoze past guys like Anderson can absorb, right? So it's like that's another one where a shorty could get away with potentially guarding Finn as the third guy, right? Like, so I think having him up top is better suited for the team, at least in this scenario. Like, and it was funny because I was even, and not to get too ahead of ourselves, but like I even was texting with Brian Alex and saying like a line of Joey, Bear, and Deer next year looks really good. Like,
don't get out of yourself. All I'm going to tell you. We had this discussion before. Is all I'm going to tell you. We did have this before. I think the Finn stuff, though, you kind of mentioned Roa. I think that's a great name to move. If you're going to move anybody, let's just also be fair to that. It frees him up.
Yeah.
There's been something off. Let's just be fair. You said it, obviously.
The other thing, too, they could put Finn in the spot in replace of like maybe McCarthy. When we talked about this beforehand, too. Like, that gives McCarthy a chance to do some more stuff on the defensive wings and defensive end a little bit, because like he hasn't necessarily been producing a ton either on the offensive side. And then that gives another threat on the second line, almost how like Sammy ran on the second line last year, right? Like, it gives you another threat there that balances out your lines a little bit more,
right?
Which that could, and that also like eases Finn back in too a little bit, so that he can get that rust off. Like, there's a lot of different options there, and I'm very intrigued to see what they do.
We're both going to be 100% wrong. I'm just going to tell you that.
Yeah,
one way
he's going to play close D.
Yeah, and I'm going to get a message from somebody that says, "See, I told you, you're just."
Told you he was going to be backup face-off guy.
Yeah. Wherever he fits, let's just also be fair here. It is going to help this team a lot, like to have him back. And it's not like the offense is struggling. It's not even like that. But having another option, whether it's not Sammy on the second line, because he's obviously not going to move down. Well, I meant to say Finn. If you have Finn on the second line, that boosts your second line, because now Wyatt Hoddle frees up. Now McCarthy, if he's there, Cordes is probably solidifying himself on the second line. Like, now you're kind of
I would say the three. I think McCarthy's the weakest link right now. But he's a freshman, right? Like, so let's be fair that he's a freshman, right? So,
I think. I think the ideal spot for me, and I don't even want to say it this way, is I wouldn't break up the chemistry with the first line. I'd break it up with the second line, is how I'll say it. And that's not saying I don't want Finn to be on the first line. I want Finn's production on the second line, because like you're saying, you can move him as easily up to the first line if Sammy needs a break. You can't move a McCarthy up there. You can't move a Cordes up there. Right now, as it is, let's just be fair in that discussion. There. Yeah. What else you got?
My only other note we hadn't touched on from the Notre Dame game was our man up went 2 for 2, and their man up went 1 for 4, including that 2-man down that we already talked about. So,
and the Trey Deer dunk goal.
Yep. I'm glad to see that Joey and Trey can still keep their connection up right now.
Well, I mean,
their long distance relationship.
I was going to say to touch on Trey for a minute, and we talked about it at the UVA, and I talked about this. Then we can transition into Cornell. This is going to be a shorter episode because we're blowing through.
That's fine.
We
don't have to talk for 2 hours every time.
No, we'll do 4 hours next time. I promise people. But to touch on the Trey Deer stuff, that's where he's perfect, right? On the man up. That's his niche for right now.
Yep.
He's an inside, like you said, he's an inside scorer. It's not even a discredit to him. That's his spot. He's set up to be on that man up unit.
He knows how to make his cuts and get himself open down there. And he needs this much space to be able to catch it and shoot it. So
Yep. But I know people want to hear a lot more. My brain is still fried from yesterday. because I just that
We're
was
so
the
juiced up. Let's go.
I did it. I wasn't expecting it though. Like I think we have to be fair to everybody here. Like if you told me that was going to be the final, I'd have laughed at you, and I would have been like, no, like.
I always think we can win every game, no matter what, Dan.
Okay, so. I get the winning, man. I'm saying the difference. I'm not even saying like.
Oh yeah, the defensive effort and shutting them down for 40 minutes is the biggest thing that stuck out to me.
Yeah,
and I know they didn't play their best game, but like whatever we were doing was throwing them fits. Like they could just, they were having a hard time, man. And
even McEnany, if you hear this, you're an idiot. I saw your tweet about the refs. I'm just gonna say it that way. I don't know if you saw that, Matt. So
no, I did
not. He said the refs drink for free at Fagan's.
Oh, that's funny.
He is a huge Irish, obviously.
Yeah.
Let's touch on the matchup though. I know we're kind of, like I said, blowing through things. Let me see if this actually wants to work for me. And it does for once. I pulled up the Cornell stats just for everybody that's watching. I apologize if it's a little blurry right now. That's as good as it's gonna let me.
Future Water Dogs attackman CJ Kirst.
That's I mean, look, I think the thing is here, like, that's the only person that Matt, I'm gonna put this up here because this person, you're gonna appreciate this. Just read that.
Let's go, K15. Yes, he's always liking my tweets. Let's go. My man right there.
That's for Matt. That's for you, yep. Matt. Notice how he didn't mention my name. That's all I'm gonna say. So
hey, okay. we provide a good balance for each other. You're a little bit more realistic.
Don't do that. Don't feed Alex anything. Don't do that. Don't do that. I know where you're going with that.
I'm heading the clouds.
Yeah. Don't send Alex that. Don't send Alex a clip of this.
But I mean, we talked about it before we got started, but Cornell is clearly a good team, right? They're number one in the country right now.
Yeah.
But if you look at their schedule, the only team that is really a top 20 team that they've beat,
right,
is actually they have two top 20 team wins right now.
Yep.
Richmond and Princeton. Oh, shoot.
Yep.
I just hit a button. Gosh dang it. Hold on.
You're good.
What did I do? There we go.
Listen, okay. I told people we'd have technical issues. I've just prepared myself at this point.
So they beat Princeton.
Yep.
That's a really good win for them because Princeton's very good.
Like we were saying, that's the win. I'm like, okay, like that's a great win. Obviously, Princeton's number 2. And I just want to make this clear to people: the Ivy League is building a superpower, and people need to start talking about it more and more and more. I know the inside lacrosse fans are, the casuals do. That's how I'll say it.
Yeah.
Because as we talked about, there's a Harvard game after the Syracuse game for them that I definitely have circled for them because
that's going to be a big game.
Yeah. Let me see that because so we can blow through this one. They beat Lehigh at Lehigh. Woo. I hate to say that to people, but they only won.
Woo. Yay.
Yeah. They beat Hobart. Okay. At Hobart. We talked about this.
Yeah, and we beat Manhattan, but no one cares about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
honestly,
you know what?
I'm gonna do you a favor, Dan. The only 2 games that matter on their schedule they've won so far are Richmond and Princeton.
You know what? I'm gonna go so far as to say it. What has CJ Kirst done against good teams? I'll start it. If we could have this conversation about Joey,
he had 5-2 against Princeton.
Okay, never mind. I take everything I just said back. Why don't we let's look up the Lehigh stats. So let's do this, Matt. We're gonna do.
It's fantastic.
It's true, man. If they can.
Let's see. 3-1 against Richmond.
Okay, never mind. I take back the Lehigh stats. Not bringing those ones up.
When do you have 10 goals or something like that?
Let me just make sure I have those.
What was one of their games? Was it the Albany or maybe it was Penn?
You know what? He only had 6 goals. Okay, I rest my case. We're good. But we all know Cursed is
Yale.
Cursed is on another level.
It was the Yale game where he went 9 for 10.
Okay.
Whew. He's gonna break the career goal record.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull that down
by a good amount because he's got 3 more games, and then he's got the Ivy League tournament, and then unless they lose out, but I doubt that's gonna happen.
I was kind of joking with Derek Joe about this, and I'm gonna send him a text and mention that I brought up his point total. I actually had it somewhere. He had like 20 points for the whole year. I don't want to criticize him by saying this, but look at CJ Kerr's point total for the year right now. And we aren't we're 3/4 of the way through the year. Like we said it a couple weeks ago. We said it with Dan. He's the winner, barring something crazy happening, is what I'll say.
Yep.
Unless
he's already got 66 points. He could easily break 100.
Yeah.
Because you got to assume they've got at least 4 more games guaranteed.
Yep.
He's averaging 6 points a game. That's another 24 points.
Yep.
That's right there. That's 90 points.
Yep.
And that's not including any NCAA tournament games.
No. And let's be fair to people when we talk about this. This game is going to come down to how many points he has for them. For the Syracuse side. I
think Dwan's going to be on him.
I'm okay with that, though.
Yeah.
I'm because you've got Figueres, you've got everybody, you've got Grace, and I'm okay with that. I think we're not going to do a score thing. It's going to be how many points can they hold CJ Kerr to. That's going to be a different because
you want to hold him to under 6. That's the goal. Hold him under his average. Right, like
is that what it is? Is it? Yeah,
6? They've played in 10 games and he's got 66 points. He's averaging almost 7 points a game.
Okay, so Matt, 7 points. I'll say it. I'm the right one. 7 points.
I'm the right one.
And I think that's the number. Like, I don't even want to do a goal total because this should be a shootout. This realistically should.
It could be just like last year, where hopefully not score wise, like the result wise.
Let's not talk about the referees. We don't do referee talk.
Don't. I'll trash him anytime I want.
Hey, I'm just saying there was a 77 on the field for Notre Dame Syracuse. Just want to point that out.
It wasn't that fat guy though.
No, it wasn't.
Anyways, the one thing I will say is I'm excited that it's on Long Island. It's a good recruiting opportunity for both teams, but I hate that it's going to be a Corrigan Sports one because I'm literally not going to watch it.
No,
I'm gonna have to listen back to it at some point on the radio or something. Like it's also my son's birthday party, so that doesn't help. But
I will be listening to the Tim Leonard broadcast. I'll just say it that way.
So I'll have to at some point find a way to listen back to it because I'm not gonna be able to watch it, and I'm not gonna pay $15-$20 whatever just to listen to watch it. There's no reason why this game shouldn't be on an ESPN Plus.
I was just going to say, so I had this conversation with my buddy, and he was watching the game. Even Notre Dame. I was like, how is this not an ESPNU? Oh, hold on. He's gonna you're gonna hate K15 in a minute. You may have liked him, but this may change. Just read that. That's all I'm gonna say. Yes, that's your answer.
God, I freaking hate Kevin Gordon.
I just want to say I wasn't the one who said it. Just remember that.
He's probably the coach I like the least out of all the CC teams. I'm pretty sure I said that last week.
I think both of us have said this.
He's a little troll. He's a short little troll.
Don't talk about leprechauns like that. I agree with so what I was saying was I don't know how the Notre Dame game wasn't on national TV. I don't.
Yeah.
The softball, he said he can't stand him either, Matt, just for the record. I can see his reply to that.
Nice.
Just remember, Matt said he likes him. Take that away from this. Matt said he likes him. I didn't say it. Matt did. But this game should be on national TV. I hate this crap of whatever, Sky Sports. take your pick of whatever. Obviously, I know who's broadcasting it, but like the sky camera from 50 yards above the
Hubble
field.
telescope.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. Maryland always seems to have that issue. They always
because they use their football stadium, so it's like way up high. Yeah.
Yeah. But I probably will be the same. I'm gonna listen to it.
Yeah.
I'm not paying.
You get to hear all the woos.
Yeah, I'll mute that. I'm muting that word. Just if I get messages.
Can AI make it so you don't hear that word?
If there was a way, Tim Leonard's even started doing on the broadcast. So I'm gonna have to send him a message and say, "Can you please?"
He just gave me a follow on Twitter, so I feel pretty cool.
Did he really?
Yeah. I'm like,
it's a little victory.
Now I'm legit lacrosse media.
He knows because he knows what you do. So that's he doesn't know that it's your last name, to be fair, but he knows that you're
yeah.
No, but it's gonna be a shootout. Like, I think that's fair. Like,
yeah, I'm interested in the face-off matchup too, because they're another good face-off team. He's facing off at 60%.
You're gonna see a lot of things. There we go. 140 for 234. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, I pulled that off the screen. I just had to pull that up, but their main guy is 140 for 234.
Yeah. And their goalie's saving at 55% too. So he's this could come down to that kind of stuff.
I just want to say CJ Kirst also has 3 game-winning goals.
Nice. So
their stat department is ahead of Syracuse's because at least they have this week's stats instead of a couple weeks ago stats. It's my one shot at the Syracuse department. I don't know if you know that reference, Matt.
CJ Kirst also has 11 turnovers, so he really sucks. He's the worst player in Division One.
We can turn this into a CJ Kirst roast. I'm game.
I love the Kirst family. They're probably my favorite non-SU family.
Matt,
all those boys seem.
Please clip that. Please clip that.
All those boys seem like the nicest guys ever.
Yeah.
And I love Cole. He's like my favorite one and done SU lacrosse player. Because like he seems like such a good kid. And he's like such a good like you can tell he's such a good teammate guy.
Yeah.
I was so
little backpedaling from Matt here.
I was
backing off the CJ Kerr stuff. Okay, got it. I get what you're saying though.
I'm getting distracted, but I was so mad that the Redwoods didn't use him more last year, and I hope that now that Spalina's kind of running the show there, that they'll use him more because he's a good player too, and he runs like all their like Curse Brother camps and stuff with kids and stuff, and it's like you can tell he's just a good guy. Like, but yeah, I love the Curse family.
I want to clip that and somebody edit that and put CJ Curse name instead of just the Curse family. That's all I'm gonna say. I might have to reach out to somebody for the
send it to Scotty because half of them played at Rutgers at some point. So
that's a listen. I didn't say that. That's all I'm gonna. Scotty's probably on cloud 9 right now.
Yeah, they're on right now. So when we're done, you guys got to flip over there.
Once again, Matt's promo and everybody else. That's all.
Listen to us, then go to Stick Talk. Hey, they've got a sponsor now, lax.com. So we'll eventually get there, hopefully.
Do they actually?
Yeah. Yep.
Is this an actual website? I'll make the joke, Brian.
It's just a website Scotty made.
Yeah. I did talk to Brian a little bit about what you and I talked behind the scenes. I messaged Brian instead of Scotty because I can't message Scotty. I realized that when I went to do that.
When I will say too, when all of you viewers are done watching and listening to our episodes, check out the one they just did with Cal Harrison because it's an amazing episode.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I'll just say we have a guest in the works that's bigger than Kyle Harrison. So
okay, all right, let's go.
Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
A little shot at Brian when he listens.
It's funny.
You know, Brian will hear that. And
yeah.
We're working on that. We're efforting that, as they say.
Yep. We'll see. Hopefully we can.
We'll see. I was gonna say now that I say that, Matt, he's gonna send us a message and be like, "Nope, can't. Got to back out. Can't do it."
Yep.
No, I think we're going way off, but that's where my brain is right now. My brain is fried today.
But yeah, I mean, going back to Cornell, huge game.
Yeah.
You know, they got to keep their mentality of how they're playing and
Right.
taking one play at a time. If it starts to not go their way, just keep fighting back, just like they have. If they get ahead, just keep fighting and keep the foot on the gas. Play smart, you know. All the cliche shit that we say, you know, they got to play a full 60 minutes, like Gary says in all of their press stuff. Like, got to play a full 60 minutes, play their game. And when they do, they can beat anybody, you know, like they just proved it this past Saturday. Yep. So, and if there's any season where anybody can beat anybody, it's this one, right? Like, look at Maryland, look at, you know, every team is beatable by somebody. There's no one we don't have this invincible Notre Dame or Maryland like we've had in the past 3 years. Like, you got to show up every game.
I was going to say, I also want to make this clear, very clear for Maryland fans. If you're listening, we would beat you right now if we played you. This is a very different Syracuse team that we've seen in the past couple of weeks than we saw at Maryland. I'll just phrase it that way. So I know the Maryland.
As long
Maryland
as it's not
fans,
raining too, right?
Yes, not raining and it's in the dome. Let's just be fair. No, I mean, you just said it. There's not really a dominant team. So, like, it's – I think, as Federally put it, barring something crazy, Notre Dame and Syracuse are in. Obviously, if something crazy happens in the ACC, we've seen it happen before.
So here's the thing I'll say is, so who does Notre Dame have left?
I could pull this up in 2 seconds. You know what, Matt? Monologue for a minute. Let's see how you do this. Let's try it. Let's test this.
I just gotta. I gotta vamp for 2 minutes while you.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they play 6 games, so I don't know.
Yeah. It's tougher than it looks. That's all I'm going to tell you.
I think they have most of their ACC slate left. Try to say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, you know what, Matt? They have 3 games left.
Yeah,
I wish I could make a joke about that.
So they're 1-1 right now in the ACC, right?
Yep.
In theory, they should beat Virginia.
Should.
And then that North Carolina game is going to be huge for them.
Yep.
Right? Like, so if they lose that North Carolina game, now they're 6-4 and going into Penn.
Yep.
And then let's say they lose their first game in the ACC tournament. I don't know if they get in.
Yeah, we're gonna do that because I want to do it. We're gonna do a whole NCAA episode in general, obviously, because once that comes down, because there's gonna be somebody that gets left out. I'm just I'm praying it's Notre Dame. I'll just flat out say it. I'm praying it's Notre Dame because I don't want to see them again in the playoffs or anything like that because I just don't like. If I've seen another Kevin Corrigan, who is Matt's favorite coach, by the way, I'll be the least happy person ever.
Like, imagine they win back-to-back and then don't make the tournament. Oh, my God. I'd be so happy.
I will send a message to Eamon McEnany, and I'll be like, now, come on the podcast now. Emergency episode. Notre Dame misses because – we joke about it, but trust me, Matt, as we know, we've been there before is all I'm going to say. So,
like, I don't see, like, I see the ACC as a 3-team.
Yeah.
Like, right. So it's going to be between the top 4 and then who's the odd man out. Right. So these next few weeks are huge for us, for Duke and for Notre Dame.
I was going to say, I think we have to exclude Carolina from that right now because they're probably the most lock. I'll say it that way. Like,
I mean, they still have their 3 hardest ACC games.
I was just going to say, I think we have to be fair here with that. They still do come to Syracuse. They still have Notre Dame.
And honestly, like, if you look, and we're getting way ahead of ourselves here, but like, if you look at North Carolina's schedule, they're the same thing that we were just talking about with Cornell, right? Like, who have they beat that's a top 20 team, right? They haven't. They beat Hopkins by 1 when they played them when Hopkins was a top 20 team, but Hopkins is not a top 20 team anymore.
No, I mean you look at what
they
Hopkins
lost
did.
to Princeton. They lost to Army.
They lost to Michigan too. So that's just...
No, they beat Michigan.
Oh, that's right. Crap. There's my one. There's my one missing.
Yeah, so they have 1 top 20 win.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
like,
then
so
I want to pull up Duke's. This is why I should just message somebody that we both know, but I'm not going to do that right now because the message I just got from him is not very nice. That's all I'll say. I asked him a question about the coaching situation, Matt, and the response I got was, "Well, what's Gary's succession plan?"
Oh, nice.
That was
so Duke.
So
they beat Michigan,
yeah,
and they beat BU, and they beat Richmond.
Yeah,
out of the top 20 teams.
And they do have. So once again, this is where I love the ACC scheduling, and I'm not joking. They set it up so the ACC determines its own fate. Like, Duke, you're good, but you get these on the rest of your schedule.
Yep.
Carolina, you end the season with the same thing. So,
so right now Duke is behind the 8 ball too because they only have 1 ACC game so far and they lost to Notre Dame, right? Like,
yeah. It's kind of crazy when you say this, Matt, but Syracuse is the number 1.
Yeah.
Like
that
for that.
And so minimally we go 500 in the ACC, right? Worst case scenario we go 500 in the ACC. But if we beat Duke, then that North Carolina game is huge.
Yeah.
Right? Like
you're probably playing, to be honest, you're probably see this. You're gonna make me get way too ahead of myself now when I say this. You're playing for hosting. That's the way that I'll phrase it.
Yeah.
Because once again, as we've seen before, teams that should host in the tournament have not always hosted. Let's just be fair with that.
Well, it's the same. The Big Ten's in the same scenario as the ACC, where they're what is it? Cutting off your nose to spite your face or whatever. Yep. What's the phrase? Like, it's the same thing. They're all beating up on each other right now. Like,
yeah.
So,
before we get way too out of ourselves and launch into a 6-hour conversation about how the ACC sucks and the Big Ten is great, I just want to say I didn't say that. What's your final score prediction? I know we didn't say it, but I'm gonna put you on the spot.
I think it's going to be like a 17-16 kind of game.
Okay. I'm right around there. I will say, Alex, I hope you're listening. Syracuse will win. Syracuse. I said it, Matt. You have my back on this one. I did say it. So
all in. Win every game.
Yeah. You know what? Syracuse is going to go undefeated the rest of the year. I'm just going to say
I got Dan on board. His head's in the clouds with me.
Yeah. Yep. I'm just gonna say it. I got it. When you get text from alums, your head gets in the clouds, is what I'll say. And I sent you the text.
Yeah.
I sent K15 the text just so he saw it. When alums that follow the program start to send you that, you start to pay attention. Is what I'll say.
Well, yeah, because I mean the team's turning around, so people are starting to get more confident and feel better about it.
Yeah.
First time in a while, right? Like. This was the highest numbers we'd had at a game since 2015 in a decade. So the hard work that this class that's leading the charge is putting in is paying off.
And I also just want to point out, just imagine Senior Day against Carolina. That's gonna be.
Depending on how these next 2 games go, there's no reason why we couldn't have over 15.
There's no. I want it like 9, and I just want to point out. I am wearing the 1995 Syracuse Championship T-shirt for everybody that's wondering.
I'm wearing a Goofy movie.
Yeah,
t-shirt.
I was gonna say for the first time, Matt's not wearing a lacrosse one, and I'm actually wearing a lacrosse one. So this is like kind of how this works out.
I bought this at Disney back in November, and I can finally fit in it. So shout out me for fitting in my XL shirt.
Shout out me for fitting in a shirt from 1995. Okay, that's the real winner. I'm
gonna one up you, Dan. I gotta. So I got a shirt from a buddy. It's a 1987 basketball Final Four shirt. I tried on today and it actually fits pretty good.
You know what, though? But did you buy it? Did you buy it?
I didn't buy it. It was given to me.
This could go off the rails really quick. So we're gonna end it there this time, though. It's a little shorter, obviously, than normal. But yeah, we're gonna go off. We're gonna end this before this goes way off the rails because this could go. This has that potential right now. Let's just say it that way. I can do one up stories all day. I think my scheduling is back to normal, so I think we'll be good for next Sunday.
Could be, yeah.
Okay, unless you have some magic birthday party or something like that.
Birthday party's on Saturday.
Okay. And I'm efforting Cam again. I'll just say it that way. And I already sent a message to Cam.
I wonder if he's going to go to the game because he's down on Long Island. Hopefully he can go. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I'm hoping to get him back on. He did tell us, and I quote, I'm just going to make a little lighthearted joke. So when he listens to this isn't serious, Cam. He did tell us that he would come on after big wins. I'm just going to say I did get a message that said I can't be there. That's all I'm going to say to him. He knows. I know what actually happened, so I'm going to give him a complete pass, but I'm just giving him a little hard time, and he knows that.
Yeah, you got
I
to
hope.
give him a hard time.
So we're going to try and get him back on it. Also, I know we talked about this. We are going to try and do the history that he did. We got to kind of figure that out. And that's going to be a special treat for anybody that hasn't watched that. We're going to dive into that, and we're going to test Matt's knowledge.
Oh, Christ.
If
you haven't watched it, do yourself a favor and go watch it. Or Seriously. You don't even necessarily have to watch it because it's a lot of it just like pictures and stuff. If you aren't able to watch it at work, like it's a great thing to just put in your earbuds and listen to while you're getting work done. Like it's such a good listen.
Is it pinned on his? I have to look this up.
I don't know. If you literally just look up history of Syracuse lacrosse, it'll come up.
That's true. And it's Cam, as you would know this better than me. Is it Search Wonder his old name?
Cam McCauley?
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's under his name.
You know what, Matt? What? Vamp for a minute.
Here we go.
No, I just actually want to make sure I could still.
I've got it saved as one of my favorites.
Do you? Okay.
On YouTube, yeah.
I just want to make sure before he might be able to.
I typed in history, and one of the things that came up was history of the entire world, I guess.
So Chronicles of that is it. Yeah. So if you do, so just for everybody that's listening, if you do Google that, it also brings it right up. I just also realized that because I didn't pull it up on
the
YouTube.
Chronicles of Syracuse men's lacrosse.
Yeah.
It's under Citrus TV.
Yep, I was just gonna point that out because search Citrus TV and Chronicles of Syracuse men's lacrosse, and it should work out. And it's a great thing to watch. And I will just say there's a lot of views on it, and I'm sure he can tell you, as he told us, he wasn't expecting it to take off like this,
which is awesome because he did a great job. It deserves it.
Yeah, but before this goes for 7 hours, and we talk about Cam's artwork that I'm going to take credit for when I say this, we're going to end it right there. Obviously, we're going to call it
Go Orange.
So go Orange.